Erik Darling here with Darling Data, and you know as well as I do, it's Monday. You know as well as I do that on Monday we do office hours, where I answer 5 of your most pressing, I don't know, impressive, depressive questions. I don't know, whatever you have going on. I don't know, everyone's happy. Everyone's happy and everyone live forever, holding hands, right? Anyway, if you look down the video description, there are all sorts of useful links for you to click on, and many of them will result in you giving me money. You can hire me for consulting, you can buy my training, you can become a supporting, and again, the supporting with money member of the channel. You can ask me office hours questions, which are of course free. I don't know, maybe I should charge like $1 a question or something. Some of you ask a lot of questions and type in ways where I know it's the same person. I'm like, you owe me $1. And of course, if you enjoy this content, please do like, subscribe, and tell a friend. I have some exciting conference announcements coming up, but of course, I cannot announce them yet as they have not been announced publicly by the presenters. So you will just have to hold on to the very seat of your pants for those. But the one that I can talk about is Past Data Community Summit coming up in Seattle, November 17th to 21st, where Kendra Little and I have 2 days of the best T-SQL pre-cons you will ever see in your life. And with that out of the way, let's go answer some questions. We will go to the magical Excel file. And we will do our best to answer these. And the first one is, does the order of inner joins in a view impact how the query optimizer chooses how to build the execution plan? So theoretically not, right? Because the optimizer is a cost-based situation, and the costing model will look at your joins, and it will, assuming that you get past into the right search phase of things, it will start reordering your joins to figure out what is the best way to do it. Where that kind of falls apart sometimes is that SQL Server will set a budget for the number of steps that it will take to optimize your query, which includes join reordering. And sometimes you'll see what's called an optimizer timeout. That timeout is not in time, it is in steps that it is budgeted based on the cost of the sort of like heuristic cost of your query based on complexity. And so SQL Server might not have time to reorder all of your joins. If you know the best way for your joins to be ordered, well, I mean, it's in a view, so you can't add force order to that. But if you know the best way that you want your joins to be ordered, I don't know, you could go ahead and write them in there. And then if the optimizer does timeout, maybe it'll just listen to you, but probably not. So in general, no, but there are situations where, if you write them in some kind of order, the optimizer might time out before it has time to reorder everything. But you're still probably not going to see joins specifically written in the order you write them in unless you have a force order hint on the query. I didn't highlight that as I was reading it. I do apologize. I've changed the width of my Zoom It thing for various reasons, and it's a bit intrusive at times. Is there any performance gains when inserting into Temp Tables to use the with tab lock hint? Thanks. Yes. Depending on local factors, you might find that using a tab lock hint will result in a fully parallel insert in which the insert operator is within the parallel zone of the query plan. If you don't have a parallel query plan, then that won't happen anyway. There are also things that you can do that will mess that up, like having an identity column, having a clustered index, having a primary key, having any non-clustered indexes, referencing the table that you're inserting into in like a not exists in the query. There are lots of things that will screw that up. If you need something that behaves like an identity column and it's important to you to have a fully parallel insert, just use row number instead. It's no inhibitions on that one. So in general, yes, but also the degree of parallelism can have a big impact on how fast things are. There are some queries where a higher degree of parallelism will result in faster inserts and sometimes in slower inserts. Of course, the sweet spot is generally somewhere around 8, but you're free to experiment with the max stop hint to see where that best aligns for you. All right. This looks like a very important question here. Hey, Erik, is it data or data? I've heard some people saying data, but I say data like you, so I think I'm right. Yeah, sounds good to me. Good job. I don't know any other way to pronounce it, so if there's some alternative pronunciation of data out there, well, this used to be a proper country, as they say. All right. In our high volume OLTP fintech environment, you work for fintech and you're asking me questions for free? A poor starving consultant? Golly. I'm gonna have to take a walk after this one. This is a paragraph. My Lord. Why don't you just hire a professional? We have poor DB design. Oh, gee. Is there a consultant around who could help with that? Leading to increasing deadlocks and blocking. Gosh, do you know anyone? It's a short-term fix. Oh, my Lord. We've set deadlock priority high on readers. We've set, I'm beside myself. We've set low deadlock priority on readers and high on critical writers. Why? Readers are always going to lose. They don't take up any transaction log. The reader is always going to be the victim. My goodness. To avoid even more does anyone out there in the world good at talking people out of no lock? I don't know. The mind boggles. We're truly puzzled. Is there a doctor in the house? Previous DBA enabled snapshot isolation on a few DBs, but devs likely aren't. No kidding, they're not. It's getting real hard not to curse here. Likely aren't using it correctly or understand isolation levels. We have ample temp DB space, rarely used, as devs prefer table. You are also wrong. Of course table variables use temp DB. What do you think they are? Magic? I have a million videos where I prove this point a zillion times. My goodness. Okay. How can I prove RCSI is safe? Well, you've got snapshot isolation enabled for a few DBs, as you noted. Why not start having some queries there use snapshot isolation? That's a good one. Only some. Oh wait. Hold on. Is there more to this? I feel like there's maybe more to this, and I'm missing it. Is there more? I feel like there's something else going on here. No. All right. How do I prove RCSI? No, that's the end of it. Yeah. Just you could start by having some queries ask for snapshot isolation and use that. That would be a good way. That's probably it there. Anyway. Okay, yeah, let's oh, you numbered your questions. Lord. If I cry on camera. This will be why. About 80% of our tables, millions to hundreds of millions of rows. Gosh. Does anyone have experience dealing with data of that size? I don't know. Have outdated indexes. Well, how does an index get outdated? Does it have an expiration date? Does it go bad? Despite daily dev work. Well, your developers, if they're the ones from question number 1, you should probably just drag them into an alley and shoot them. Queries mostly from Entity Framework Core. God bless. Servers reboot weekly. Mother. Okay, biggest issue, slow upserts deletes on tables with 50+ child tables. No cascading. I propose starting with narrow compressed indexes on FK relationships to avoid table scans. Tried SP index cleanup, but low uptime limits results beyond compression. Indexing foreign keys is one of the least crazy things that you can do, at least in a database. Some databases are nice, and when you create a foreign key, they create an index for you. Indexing foreign key columns is not terribly controversial. The thing to be explicit about here is that if you've already got an index that leads with the foreign key column or columns, there are some multi-key foreign keys, we must include those, then you don't need another index that leads with that column or those columns. So you don't need specific indexes. You don't, like, if you name an index FK, it doesn't give like it magic powers. The thing to be aware of is that the optimizer is still free to choose the execution plan for your foreign keys, right? Like foreign key validation. Like you could have all the indexes in the world. SQL Server could still choose a merge or hash join with an index scan on the inner side of the join for the foreign key relationship. Sometimes you actually have to add a loop join hint. I've got a blog post about sort of like about this, but also about how sometimes triggers are a more useful approach for this, because you can control the execution plan of triggers in a somewhat easier way. But since you've already got all those foreign keys, you may as well as long as you don't already have indexes that perfectly express that relationship, then you might want to try indexing them, sure, at your high volume OLTP fintech. All right. Well, I've got a bottle of 4-year-old Willet Rye that is screaming my name right now, so we're gonna go do that. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.